Hi, I'm Mike Mulligan, and we're going to talk about Entergy today. I see Pilgrim plant shut down in the last few hours, and they got into, or yesterday probably, they got into some troubles with pressure control, and they had to slam the main steam isolation valve shut in order to not cool down so fast. So, it's too bad they can't learn how to control that reactor after all these years. Anyways, basically this is about Arkansas Nuclear One. They dropped a huge 600-ton stator down probably 40 feet, maybe more, and stuff. They probably, there's implications. They might have done some severe damage to the turbine building itself, and they still haven't got the next door neighbor up and running. Damaged the next door plant also. The brother plant next to it and stuff like that. And so an organization is a bunch of codes and rules and agreements. Essentially, people run by agreements. Whether they're in contracts or whether they're people to people and stuff. And so you have these kind of rules, either written or non-written, customs and all that sort of stuff. You might have a set of customs for a small group of people. A larger group have a different set of customs, and a larger Entergy itself has a lot of different rules and customs and associations and relationships and stuff like that. And if you get into trouble, if you don't run efficiently and safely, then throwing paperwork at it is not going to change anything. The NRC just kind of throws, they write an inspection report and they dance around about inspection reports, and they really don't expect a change in behavior out of a utility. Well, maybe they expect it, but I don't think they expect a change of behavior. They just kind of flipping through the rules. We're meeting the rules, and we're satisfied with that. That's the way we keep our jobs and stuff like that. And that Congress, in the U.S. House, they define what the rules of transparency are in the nuclear plant. And as we clearly know, Congress only wants you to see a small segment of what's going on at the nuclear plant. That's what controls the NRC essentially is Congress, and the criteria for the rules of disclosure and stuff, and defines how the NRC inspects the nuclear plant and stuff like that. And so the NRC doesn't really listen to the little guy. They listen to the where the money is and stuff. And so that's the nature of why we see what we see. It's why we see. I think it's just the deterioration of the industry in general of recent. We can't see it because of them rules, because Congress doesn't want us to see it and stuff. They want to protect their campaign contributions and that type of thing. So we can't see what's going underneath everything. The NRC's hiding it. I don't think it's just they're following the rules. I think it's their brothers, and they're protecting their brothers, more or less. I think that's what's going on. So, anyways, Arkansas One. What I was trained on when I worked at Vermont Yankee was, they have these big cranes in both the reactor building and the turbine building, and the cranes are on a rail, and they sit on the outside wall, right? The rails are attached to the outside walls, the outside concrete stanchions and stuff, and then they got huge. The stanchions go up and down, vertically from the ground, or from the bedrock, and stuff, and then they got these huge I-beams sitting on the outside. They got I-beams and stanchions in the inside of the building, believe me, and that type of stuff. But the crane sits on a rail that sits on the outside wall, that the rail itself is attached to the concrete stanchion, and the outside wall, the north-south wall, whatever it is specially designed to carry that load as far as the maximum weight that they're expected to carry during the life of the plant and stuff. And so that whatever the most limiting, is it the stator? I don't know. Or the turbine, how much the turbine weigh? I suspect the stator weighs more and stuff. And so that them outside walls are designed to carry 600 ton on the structure of the crane, on the rails they have, and on the crane structure itself. That's all been designed for the worst weight, the highest weight, 600 tons or whatever it is, and stuff like that. The rest of the building isn't, the floors and stuff like that. They might have a specific place that's designed for the weight and stuff, but it's really a lot of the floor itself isn't really. That's the dangerousness of this whole deal. It's not really all areas of the floor are not designed to hold that that heavy weight and stuff. Not designed for it, not engineered for it, and stuff. And it's just most of the times. I imagine you can take the stator out and put it in a certain place, a designated place, but the rest of the floor is off limits, and you're supposed to take that stator off, maybe put it in a stand somewhere, and that in itself, the stand is designed to carry the weight, and also to disperse the weight on the concrete floor that the stator is supposed to sit on while it's being repaired. And of course, we all know that's the stator usually is taken off site to repair it, and it's a very, very infrequent operation type of thing. I don't know how they've done the stator before, put the stator initially in the plant, or whether they had a more heavier stator type of deal over the years and stuff. And so when you're carrying them kind of loads, you just have to have it. I mean, it's just ABCs, right? Those loads are tremendous, and the structure has to be. The consequences are so large of a screw up with carrying that kind of a load is mind-boggling for your company type of thing. And so, I mean, you just can't excuse it on human error and that type of thing. It's just so inherent. Anybody that's been trained around carrying big weights and all that sort of stuff, and they're well aware that how much energy 600 ton weight it carries, and especially if you drop it a little bit or you misplace it and put it on somebody's foot. It's too late. By the time you hear the screaming, the foot is gone. You know what I'm saying? So like I was doing, here. I was trying to, this is where the NRC first stopped me yesterday, the other day when I was doing it. I've read this before. I'm probably going to get better reading it. But this is what, on February 22nd, 2011, right? I said to myself, well, what do I see in front of me? Knowing all these rules and customs and associationships and relationships and knowing, what you got to do. It's a very difficult process to change behavior. You have to maintain focus, and it takes an enormous amount of effort in pain to change behavior. When I come out of the Navy, when I was in the Navy, I had a drinking problem, and I realized it. I had a drinking problem before I went into the Navy, so it's not the Navy. It wasn't the Navy's fault. Of course, I was in a highly stressful environment, and I, adapted to the culture by, I figured out a way to help me adapt to it by drinking and not, taking my mind away from what I was doing when I was off the ship and stuff. And I quit drinking a year before I got out of the Navy, and it was one of the most changing behavior. Was I physically addicted to booze? No, I was more psychologically addicted to booze, and to think that wasn't huge. I knew before, as I was making that decision to stop. I knew. I said in front of myself, my whole life is around booze, and not only I like drinking, but everybody around me likes drinking, and my whole life was about everybody liking drinking and stuff like that. And I said to myself, it's going to be, I knew before I stopped drinking that this was going to be huge, and it turned out to be bigger than I thought and stuff. It was 5 years of hell. It was 5 years of staying focused and thinking about my goal of not drinking and being constantly reminded of people who are drinking and being in trouble. My family was all into drinking and stuff like that. It was a horrendous 5 years of effort to try and stop drinking. Of course, here I am now, 30 some odd years later on. I've never picked up a booze, but I'll tell you that it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life was to stop drinking. It wasn't really stop drinking. It was a change of behavior. It took an enormous amount of effort with me, and of course, I was sober about a year. I was about a year sober when I got out of the service. But anyways, here we go. Don't you, So I was kind of, I kind of had that in the back of my mind a lot when I think about Palisades and all the problems they've had and stuff, and how much of an effort it takes, and it takes a kind of a public admittance to what you're doing, and you can't hide part of your life and stuff like. And so there's a public admittance, and it's the essence of going forward, admitting all what you've done in the past and stuff, admitting that you had a problem drinking, and changing behavior and that type of thing. So that's the kind of I know from personal experience how difficult changing behavior is, especially when you have this kind of repetitive pattern of coping by drinking and stuff like that. It's terrible. It was hard. It was the hardest thing I've ever did. So and these utilities, don't get yourself a plant like Palisades. That's only one person's experience. But getting to setting yourself up in a pattern of behavior in an organization and then changing it's just it's me times 100. It's me my experience times 1,000. How many employees you have? It takes a lot of effort, and you just can't fill out a document or write an inspection report. There's a focus that has to be accomplished there, and a lot of times there's a lot of pain involved. As far as talking about events and talking about past things you did, and creating that continuous environment. That memory in my head that Mike, you just don't want to quit drinking. The drinking was killing you. Was going to wreck your life. It wrecked your life, more or less. Some of my reputation when I was in the service. So so that's here I am. So I'm trying to don't you wish you had the button on your computer where you could give a yellow, red and green? How are you doing now? How will the whole of Entergy do in a year, 2 years, 5 years? Where will the NRC be stationed in the next decade? Because I'm kind of saying they're not doing enough effort to really change their behavior. They're just going through the emotions and trying to look good in front of people and really not doing what it takes to change behavior. It's going to boggle the mind with what the NRC discovers in the next year or two at Palisades, just like the last year. I say they are going to find bigger and more repetitive problems. Nothing of this is in our nation's long-term interest, making the world better for us. We continue to be astonished by what we don't know about the plant, what they are doing behind the secrecies of the security fence. History teaches us unimaginable things are going on behind the security fence at Palisades, and the NRC misses the really important stuff. Better, the NRC doesn't have the power to make energy meet the greater ends of us all. You know, that's right on there. I was right on there. So. Then we know, like the issues of Vermont Yankee being unfit, challenging on being unfit financially. We know that. We talk about Grand Gulf. So I'm setting up this as a set of associations and group rules and agreements and culture. You know, a culture that they chose to participate in, all of them, and enforce. Grand Gulf, right? An engineer was intimidated by bringing up a problem. A huge energy-wide in the fleet, and all other fleets had issues with quality assurance and the qualification of quality assurance inspectors. You know, I consider it, they tried to tear apart the quality assurance department, nuclear quality assurance, and other to do things faster, cheaper. And so and what was it? Who was the one with the? Who was Riverbend? Riverbend? Or what was the one with? I think it was Riverbend. They had employees. I mean, it's mind-boggling to think that they had a bunch of licensed operator in the control rooms watching TV or going on the internet and doing things and stuff. There was a whole bunch of them and stuff. And so the issue is that, you know, Entergy has a pattern of behavior here that you know, they'd rather not follow the rules, and they have an instinct to cover everything up, and to not be transparent, and to hide in the bushes and do what they want to do, and they're arrogant. They think they can get away with just about whatever they want to get away with and stuff. And so, you know, somebody like me would say, you know, they're heading for trouble. You're heading for trouble, and you know, what's it going to take? You know, take a unbelievable tragedy, a plant being shut down permanently, a nuclear accident, you know, a meltdown type of thing. I don't know if there's going to be a full core meltdown, but it sounds like they're heading towards a TMI type of situation. I mean, what's it going to take to change behavior and stuff? And the NRC sees things by plant by plant type of thing. You know, they don't say, okay, how is energy in the whole? You know, you know, most of the times in the well, I shouldn't say that. But that's what they look at. You know, they don't look at a corporate, how's a corporation doing and stuff like that. They more or less just keep it associated with a particular power plant, or two power plants that are next to each other and stuff like that. Nobody ever, you know, the NRC never says, okay, who's a good operators of nuclear plants here, and who's the bad operators of nuclear plants, and they don't line up the different plants from, say, Entergy and then, you know, decide that, you know, these guys are cold-blooded and they don't want to change their ways and they're doing it in a lot of plants, and thus it's bigger than one plant. So we gotta hammer them a lot harder on every event, than because we want them to change, right, their behavior, and we want them to change their behavior to be good citizens, to be part of our culture and the whole. So remember I was talking about, I talked about fantasizing about a big drop of a heavy weight in Palisades. Wouldn't you want to be in Palisades refuel floor for the heart-thumping loud bang and vibration coming down from a drop reactor head by crane? So that was all in 2011, and then let's see. And then when was this? And the nature of this is over such a long period. Fitzpatrick, and listen to this. A series of investigations at the James A. Fitzpatrick nuclear plant in Scribe has resulted in 4 workers being fired and 44 being disciplined, a spokesman for the plant said Thursday. Meanwhile, federal regulators announced one of the fired workers had pleaded guilty to falsifying tests of safety equipment at the plant. Also Thursday, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission notified the owners of the plant that it could face civil actions in the wake of the investigation. So, there was a pattern of a lot of these plants of taking the shortcuts and being dishonest, hiding in the bushes like a coward with their problems and stuff like that. And what I did, what I learned to do as far as my stopping drinking days, what I learned to do, especially in the beginning, the first year, was I had to sabotage myself. There's one part of the brain that was constantly saying, "Oh, well, you really need a drink now. You really need a drink now. You'd feel better if a drink now." And I would sabotage everything I had. I would sabotage that side of the brain. Believe me, talking about my drinking and wanting to drink and all that sort of stuff. I mean, the deal was to sit out there and sabotage a part of me. That's what it turned out to be. And that's one of the most probably which got me sober for a number of years, was that idea that there's a black side of me, and there's an angel and there's a devil in me, and what you got to do is you got to sabotage that devil. You got to figure out to show him to everybody outside, and then kind of make it so that he doesn't have the guts to do what he really wants to do. He'll be held accountable for it and stuff. And the bad guy usually goes in the back of your head and hides, because he can't take that kind of stuff. And that's what was missing in Entergy, as far as these types of things, is that ability to sabotage what they've gotten away with over a number of these years. So they went to the attorney's office in Syracuse, brought criminal charges against the poor fella. Well, in his guilty plea, he admitted he failed to adequately perform tests to make sure the workers' emergency respirators were properly fitted and sealed, and then falsely documented that they were. So a number of things. The NRC found 2 identified staff-level individuals acted with careless disregard by not following through on their suspicions that the respirators fit the tests that were inadequate. A second investigation found McCarrick deliberately failed to document a required surveillance of air samples or workers leaving the radiological control area. And then there was another thing. But did they do that? Did they really? Did they facilitate this continued behavior by all these slapping on the hands? Throwing a couple of writing a couple of documents. Firing this worker here. He probably deserved to be fired, but that's what they do to protect the higher ups. and stuff like that. You know, where were the higher ups that were fired over this? You know, allowed them to be so blind that they didn't know that this was going on. It was going on for a number of years. You know, it was going on for a number of years, and the only reason, again, it wasn't from the good-hearted. You see, it's enormous. The good-hearted heartedness of Entergy to do things right. This was no attempt at all to find out this was going on their own. You know, a good spirit finding out. You know, I want to find out what's going on in my organization, and I want to. You know, I don't necessarily want the NRC to dictate the my minimum requirements. I want to be way better than the NRC, and I take the NRC really serious and stuff like that. But a whistleblower. A whistleblower. Came up. Somebody called up. Was fed up with it. Probably, you know, this guy got hired, promoted. Probably a whole bunch of them got promoted for lying and thieving and stuff like that. And the poor bastard, you know, was sitting there stewing about that. And he called up the NRC, and that's what got them to investigate this and stuff. And so, you know, why was the NRC so blind in this over the years? How come they couldn't? They couldn't find it on their own instead of having to depend upon, you know, I won't rock the boat. I might know what's going on there and stuff like that. And if I find it on my own, my boss will disapprove of my behavior and stuff like that. But the only way I'm going to act on what I know is if I have confirmatory information from some other source and stuff like that. So is that you know is that the nature of it? So, you know, the industry's in really a lot of trouble. They're in more trouble than they've ever been in as far as economic stress and employees leaving and inadequate skills and inability to find educated people and stuff like that. They're in a lot of trouble and stuff. And you know, is it hiding in the corners? Is that going to fix it? Really? You know, is not admitting up to you know what your troubles are. Is that going to fix it? And so there's one. Here's the Fitz. Well, here's the Fitz NRC. Well, shoot, I thought I had this all figured out. Well, anyways, that's you know, and has Entergy done enough, or the NRC enough done? You know, commensurate with how there's so much pressure on these utilities to lie and falsify training and falsify radiation protection stuff. Do you think they did enough to change behavior, or just give you the feeling that, oh well, something was done? But really it wasn't enough to change attitudes and behavior and stuff, you know. A facilitative finding, you know, from the NRC, or from a facilitative finding from the legal system, you know, find a guy, fire him, prevent him from ever working in the industry again. Is that enough to change? behavior, and those are only small little things, these large organizations and many plants and stuff like that. So people say, the chance of me ever getting caught is next to nil and stuff. So that there's the and then Palisades, right? Remember Palisades? The DC thing? Finally, based on the facts gathered during the special inspection, the inspectors determined that a possible cause for the September 25th, 2000 event was that Palisades organization did not establish safety policies amongst the management team and employees, which reinforced that nuclear safety was an overall overriding priority. Specifically, several of the organizational decisions demonstrated that this event was not consistent with the established nuclear safety policies and procedures at the site. In addition, production and schedule goals were not developed and communicated and implemented in a manner that reinforced nuclear safety on December 21st, 2001. Well, the NRC says, they had safety goals, nuclear safety goals, but everybody in the organization, including senior management, wasn't following them. Didn't see the necessity of doing it. So this is the red flag. And this is after I was wondering about that red button, that special button on the computer that could foretell the future. Wondering about how everything will be in the future and stuff like that. So again, a sense that honor and integrity in the industry is, really following the procedures and making sure that, if you have an issue with a procedure, that it's fixed and stuff like that, and that management is open up on the first whiff of something's wrong with a procedure, that they'll stop whatever the hell they're doing and spend a lot of time on it and do that procedure right, because a lot of people are many people after that are probably going to use that procedure. That procedure is going to be used over and over again. So the deal is, don't tolerate this crap of half-assed procedures and poorly trained people and stuff. Fix it, and that's the way you maintain safety and stuff like that. So here it is, in this sense of a culture of falsification and lying and thieving and having no honor and integrity and stuff like that. Under the happy tunes of the NRC and Entergy, how well they're doing and stuff like that, there is a pattern of this sense of lying and thieving and being dishonorable and doing things in the corner so that you might save a couple of pennies or save a couple of seconds in an outage. This attitude of you're rewarded for taking a risk. Entergy rewards you for taking a risk, and how can you not see that's going to end up in taking a life and injuring many people with the kind of stuff these guys do on a repetitive nature? How can you not see that that's going to end up either damaging your reputation? Is money worth that kind of? Is monies and profit and income worth that? The damage the reputation of Entergy, so that maybe a lot of people lose their jobs and stuff like that. Well, how much further are you going to go down the pike? That you're going to allow this kind of behavior to go on, and then finally something's going to emerge in the public arena where the politicians are forced to treat Entergy severely enough to because the politicians are fearful for their jobs and stuff like that, or the top regulators have gotten so dishonest in the eyes of the American public that the politicians are forced to clean house and stuff. How long is this going to go on before you really have a change of attitude and that type of stuff? And so then you remember, so Entergy has a pattern of lying on paperwork and not fully disclosing things, and leading to death and dismemberment. Because it's clear as day they were heading in that direction. And so, Perry's another interesting thing. They had they were taking out a nuclear instrumentation thing underneath the vessel during the outage, and they didn't have the right equipment. They didn't have right equipment for a long time. They lived with it, and then they weren't aware of the situation or the type of startup rate detector setup. They weren't aware of it, and they drug it out of the reactor too much, and it was a very narrow. They almost severely irradiated a few people over that. It was totally unprofessional, and if somebody ran away from that field, the field came up, high radiation field, and they all ran away. Somebody would have bumped his head on the way out and knocked himself out. That'd have been a horror show, as far as for Entergy, for First Energy. Excuse me, this is a different company. And so and then out of that, there has been a series of problems with radiation protection, right? Radiation protection, protection of employees as far as radiation is concerned, and what makes radiation protection a lot more consequential if you run with bad fuel. If you have bad fuel at one point or another, and you run with it, and you crap up your plant, makes everything more complicated. Oh, you wouldn't believe how more complicated. A thing that took you 15 minutes to do years ago takes you 4 hours to do nowadays. That's what crapping up your plant does and stuff. You might not get a radiation dose, but boy, I tell you what, it deleverages your human resources and makes everything a lot longer and stuff like that. But they run on this month I know how I can save a couple of pennies. So and then they had a whistleblower, right, come out and was complained about it, and a big old news program, media program, network, a local television station has just recently come out talking about that and stuff. And one of the most interesting things. So Perry, Fitzpatrick, they falsified a lot of their issues around radiation protection. Entergy owned that plant, and management either knew about what was going or created the environment to allow that to happen, and created a system that don't tell us, we don't want to know what we're doing wrong, just do it. That whole thing, that whole and nothing breaks it. I mean, nothing breaks it. The NRC, just as long as they meet their criteria for enforcement or inspection findings and stuff like that, there's no sense of that. That's what Congress does, is controlling the NRC. There's no sense of, there's something wrong with the organization, and they have to have we have to create a big enough punishment to get them to change their tune, right? To change their behavior and stuff like that. So Perry, they've had a lot of troubles with radiation protection for a number of reasons. They probably didn't want to spend money on, they bring in contractors, and everybody penny pinching and probably bringing on half-ass radiation protection contractors, not enough standards for holding people accountable. All them contractors know that these guys got to get done with this refueling business pretty quick. And in an outage, you divert. There's a lot more people, a lot more radiation work, and you can't. Your own people can't do the work. You have to hire a lot of radiation protection contractors. But what do you hire them for? Do you hire them for not disrupting the outage, or do you hire them to make sure that the employees are safe from radiation exposure and contamination and stuff like that? Usually they hire the guys that close their eyes the most, type of thing, and stuff. And so they had a lot of severe findings. The NRC's been ramping up. They talk pretty. The NRC just recently talked quite pretty about forcing Perry to do the right thing, and they're in dire straits. And as far as watching them, because the TV interest was there and stuff, and so the NRC had to talk strong and stuff like that. But as a pattern with the NRC, culture, customs, and past practices and associations and stuff like that, that's what the NRC does. They talk tough. They make a creative public image and stuff that looks like they're proactive and care, and they're tough. And behind the scenes, everybody knows they're a paper tiger. They're nothing. Absolutely nothing. Everybody knows that. As far as plant-wide, they're a nothing. They are overwhelmed. They can only see a small part of it. Most of the inspectors are prohibited by their bosses from, finding these things on their own. They're bothering the utility and all that sort of stuff. So Perry began their outage on March 18th, refueling outage, and April 10th. They brought in a four-man team because they must have found things wrong with the outage, right? So they brought in a special team to watch over the Perry plant, their outage activities with radiation and stuff. And so they talked really tough. Then they March 18th. How many days is that? 18th. That's probably 3 weeks there. They allowed them to flounder around in a terrible outage with troubles, radiation protection troubles, and stuff like that. And so now at the end, they're going to come out and bring on I think they brought in 2 extra inspectors. Now they brought on 4 special inspectors to watch because they found Perry not trustworthy. And all through these last 2 years, Perry's been really terribly untrustworthy. They demonstrated their untrustworthiness with the SRM detector issues, not following procedures and not having the right equipment and all that crap, and risking human life and taking shortcuts and all that sort of stuff. They demonstrated their integrity and untrustworthiness, and so now the NRC is coming into Perry. After the outage is 3/4 over with and stuff, and because they found them additionally more untrustworthiness and stuff, and so you get that pattern of the NRC likes spinning the wheels. They like creating a big thing in the media, but as far as getting a utility to change their tune, doesn't happen. They're paper tiger. Everybody ignores them. Everybody knows they're at the end of the day, if you take shortcuts in order to quicken a outage or what have you, if you found in breaking the rules that the corporation heads want you to break, you might get dinged, but don't worry, you'll have another job somewhere else, and that's the nature of it. And so The OIA, what is it called? The NRC OI. So this is now we're coming back to license factual summary investigation of report 212024. The OI, they put this in this strictly hyper legalistic business and stuff, and what that says is, well, we'll delay disclosing the issue for a year or 2 years, and we won't have enough resources, and we'll take our times on this, and meanwhile the utility will know that it's ongoing, and they can correct themselves and come up with these big flashy programs and a lot of words that say they care about their employees and all that sort of stuff, and they're all prepared for the disclosure of the OI investigation and stuff. And what you really need is a OI investigator to go in there, do a quick inspection, and disclose the information before they tell Arkansas Entergy and stuff, and then watch Entergy dance around in the public realm, without being prepared to answer questions and stuff like that. That's what the public needs to do, because then they'll get fed up with Entergy, and eventually they'll get Entergy to change their tune. So the investigation reported that on January 9, 2012, the licensee researched the exercise drill documentation as a result of record-keeping discrepancies identified in late December 2011. The licensee spoke with the senior emergency planner, who admitted that he falsified the document. So we don't know. We don't know what got him to who researched. How they came about that. Was it a whistleblower, or was it a so another set of falsification at Arkansas 1, Arkansas Nuclear 1, right? The one with the drop statter. Another sense of a long culture of being illegal and falsifying evacuation training and that kind of stuff. During the NRC OI investigation, the senior emergency planner at ANO admitted to generating false documentation over a period of 4 years. Come on, did you think that guy? They watched that guy crawl up the company. He has a pattern of behavior that they wanted out of him. They wanted him to do that. You get to a GM, you don't tell the truth. You create paperwork to fix it. That's who we are as a company. We train our people, and we massage them going up through the thing, and only the guys that, if you get into jam, you start to falsifying paperwork. Like I say, you get to a point where Entergy has a pattern of this kind of behavior. Guys watching TV in the control room, intimidating engineers on safety issues, destabilizing, taking apart their quality assurance departments fleet-wide. I told you, over the recent years, Entergy's had a ton of fleet training. The issue with the people watching TV or on the internet in the control room. They had employee surveys fleet-wide, and everything comes up startling, very good, highest grades and stuff like that. I think they're one of the most, probably the highest company in the United States as far as a nuclear company that has so much fleet-wide training, because their employees screw up so much. so you see what I'm saying and what I'm getting at. You know, they have a culture of falsification. What do you think you're going to see when smoke is cleared? When the dust is cleared from this statter drop business, you're going to see these guys were doing the same thing, right? We're going to see that the NRC was incapable of connecting the dots. You know, I only see things in a narrow, a technically narrow sort of frame from reference. I only see things in according to my what the legislatures in Washington and Congress, how they want us to see the world, right type of thing, and they severely limit our ability to change behavior and stuff like that. And so you're going to see this in Arkansas 1. You're going to see again Entergy probably being involved in falsification, improper procedures, assortment of human errors and stuff like this. This was as clear as me. They were heading towards this direction back in my days, and when I was looking at the Palisades issues, and I had repetitive 2.206s and stuff like that, trying to warn people that they were heading this way and stuff. And so so here we go. April 2012. When did this start? In December, the beginning of 2012. And so they finally come out with this thing. You know, if the OIG came out with a more hard-hitting inspection report a lot earlier, and they made the Arkansas 1 bow down to the NRC, and you respect us, and you change your behavior, and came down with a hammer 6 months ago, you think that this Arkansas, this death and fatality would have happened as of recent? I don't think so. I think if the NRC would have realized the importance of what was going on in Entergy and stuff like that, that they could have changed the outcome of that and not had a fatality. Entergy would have been too frightened to take shortcuts during an outage and stuff like that. And so here you go. There's a whole bunch of falsification Entergy employees for years not getting caught doing the falsifications. It is all throughout the industry, like I said, with radiation, Perry, and Entergy, and most. This is going on all over the place as far as this upholding standards of radiation protection of the employees and stuff. As far as this is an escalating behavior with Entergy over the recent years. You know, they absolutely have no internal controls over their behaviors, and these kind of an unlucky lower level employee gets fired or stuff like that, but nobody else is held accountable. Who knows if there was an agreement made with the fired employee? We'll give you so much money if you shut your mouth, and we'll put you up on. We're gonna put you up on retirement early as long as you don't admit that we're doing that type of thing. Who knows what goes on as far as that. So like I said, Entergy is a rogue utility, a rogue illegal activity. They have patterns of falsification over a number of plants and many years and stuff like that. The NRC can't contain them. It's led to recent injuries and death of innocent employees and stuff like that. And so when are people going to finally open their eyes and create an environment that changes the heart of the Entergy Corporation? When are you going to stop this culture of lying and thieving and taking shortcuts and creating falsifications and all that sort of stuff? When's it going to stop? If we keep going on the way we are, as kind of facilitatively writing inspection reports that don't have any teeth, getting the OI or OIG involved in here, and just throwing paperwork at them, and not demanding a change in behavior, just going through the motions of following what Congress wants, half-ass regulations, and no consequences, and no expectations that these companies are going to change their behavior. Where do you think it's going to end? That's Fukushima. That's what the Japanese are doing. The only reason why we can't see that is because we're not allowed. We can't see that behavior. It's the same thing as Fukushima. We can't see the bad behaviors that are going. They're hiding it from us. Our legislatures and our Congress is limiting what the NRC can do, and they're intimidating the NRC employees and stuff like that. And so, just like they did over in Fukushima, we're as bad as far as culturally, as far as the NRC is concerned, how they're protected by our Congress and our politicians, and how these utilities have with their big money has weakened the agency and stuff like that. That being said, and stuff, a lot of good employees have a big hurdle to express their conscience and stuff like that. But it bothers me that a lot of these employees sit there and they know what's going on. Believe me, they know what's going on, and they've talked about it, and they just they sit there and say, well, I got a family to feed and a new car. I can't take the risk of being a decent human being and trying to change. I know what's wrong. I can't stick my head out because my family will suffer terribly for that. That's just not right. We're supposed to be better than that as Americans. We're supposed to have a sense of honor more than that. We're supposed to not we're not supposed to put our families first. A lot of these big issues, and a lot of stuff. We're supposed to put our nation first, and the people of our communities first. That's what a real hero is somebody that steps outside and says, I'm not going to take this no more, and risk his welfare of his family and his employment situation and stuff like that, because he wants to do good. He wants to create a country that's bigger than it is and stuff. And I'm disappointed that a lot of employees have taken this modern business where my family comes first, and this narrow vision of the world of I got to do just what I can to feed my family, and not look at the bigger issue and behave in a way that makes our country bigger and better, and makes our corporations bigger and better. I'm Mike Mulligan here, still complaining.